Hello and welcome to Scrubbers, a comedy podcast set in the far future, in the deepest reaches of a bizarre alien galaxy. Season 1, Episode 1. No Excuse to Miss a Mash. Based on the screenplays by S. H. J. Walton. A bulky garbage shuttle trundles through the darkness of space, propelled into the void by small bursts of thruster gas, ejected from large conical boosters. The worn-out-looking garbage shuttle ambles toward a gigantic dagger-shaped star destroyer, sitting ominously in orbit around a multiple-ringed gas giant, in the deepest region of the alien galaxy. A tractor beam reaches out from an illuminated landing bay, deep within the flying behemoth, and slowly pulls the shuttle inside. Once inside the galactic star destroyer, the garbage shuttle reverses up to a loading dock and tilts backward at an increasing angle. Tons of garbage slide off the back end of the shuttle into a filth-covered chute. A chute that sends the trash and debris into the foulest bowels of the ship. Down, deep down, into the downtrodden domain of the Scrubbers. In a large room knee-deep with garbage, at the bottom of the ship's garbage chutes, Big Dave, a mountain with a pulse, and his idiot apprentice, whip it, open trash bags and empty the contents onto a conveyor belt. Big Dave picks up a random bag from a mountain of trash, with all the enthusiasm and vigor of an elderly dog. The bag splits open and covers Big Dave in garbage water and coffee grounds. Chuffing magical. Join up, they said, see the galaxy, they said. Whippet notices the unpleasant disaster that befell his friend and mentor, and reacted in the same way that any scrubber, put in that position would, and erupted into a mockery of laughter. Yes, Big Dave. What you saying, you clumsy knob? Big Dave chuckles and grabs a random bag from the heap. Oh, I? Catch this. Big Dave launches the bag full of crud at his annoying sidekick, covering the little rascal in foul-smelling sludge. Knob. What was that for? Bella walks into the room with 2 bags of garbage in her hands. She looks at Big Dave and Whippet pushing each other and rolls her eyes in frustration and disappointment. Chuffing knob heads. Bella drops the bags on the floor and whistles loudly with her fingers. Stop messing around, you useless pair of divs. Big Dave nudges Whippet and points at Bella with his thumb. Would you hear the gob on this one? Whippet grabs a bag from the heap and glares at Bella. All right. Calm down then, Bella. Sheesh. Bella clenches her teeth with rage and glares at him. Calm down, calm down. We're snowed under with this crap, you dozy little tosser. Look at it. Bella throws the bags of trash at Whippet and Big Dave, and roars in frustration. It'll be days before this chuffing lot is sorted, and I can finally get me some R&R. Big Dave scratches his head and looks gone out at Bella. What's the point? It's only Praxis Gamma, now down there, but sand, soldiers, and the deadliest prisoners this side of the Droxian Way. Bella sighs with soul-crushing disappointment. Then why are we stopping here? Big Dave tilts his head at Bella. Why do we ever stop at a penal colony? Whippet giggles and clears his throat. Dunno, why do we ever stop at a penis colony? Bella rolls her eyes and playfully slaps Whippet round the head. Twat! It's not a joke, you sausage. Whippet rubs his head and looks at Bella with a puzzled look on his pimple-covered face. Oh. Then why are we stopping here for? Big Dave taps the side of his head and winks at them. New recruits, of course. Bella and Whippet look at each other, then at Big Dave. Huh? Big Dave shakes his head in faux disappointment. The Supreme Leader executed a third of the crew, remember? After the incident on Sigma 4? Whippet looks blankly into nothing and chuckles. Oh, yes, we've not had chili in the canteen since. Big Dave smiles knowingly and winks at them. But it's not all doom and gloom, I hear we got a new lad starting today. Bella and Whippet touch fists. Whippet punches the air in celebration. Get in. Yes. Bella smiles and clasps her hands together. Finally, they are replacing Bobo, and we can. Hang on. Does that mean we're getting a chuffing convict? Big Dave shrugs his crud-covered shoulders and drops a bag of trash on the conveyor belt. Probably, but you know what they say? Beggars can't be choosers. On the railing-lined gantry above them, Mabo, the scrubber's power-crazed weasel of a superintendent, leans against the railing and watches Bella, Whippet, and Big Dave. Whippet takes a sly pull on his vape. "On a chuffing tea break, are we?" hissed the power-crazed nobody, while Whippet holds his breath and sneakily hides the vape in his pocket. "What have you got there?" "I will dock you a week's credits if you are vaping on company time again, you sneaky little clagnut, Whippet." Bella puts her hands on her hips and glares up at Mabo. "Oi, Mabo, how comes we don't get a replacement for Bobo?" Mabo stares down at her and smiles a crooked, poisoned smile. "That's where you are wrong. Bobo's replacement is being inducted as we speak." "Hold on a second." Mabo dashes into his office and Whippet lets out a cloud of vapor, causing the scrunty little rascal to cough violently, while Bella and Big Dave waft the vapor away with their hands. Whippet stands up straight and catches his breath, just in time for Mabo's unwelcome return. "Here you are. This is a chitty sheet for one Thumper Johansson. Look." With a dingy smile on his treacherous face, Mabo tosses down the chitty sheet, with a picture on the front of a mean-looking prisoner with snarling metal teeth. "Caw. He looks a mean one, Gaffer. He is, Whippet, he is. A sociopathic knife killer if ever I seen one." Bella screws up the chitty sheet and throws it on the floor. "That's bang out of order, Mabo. I don't give a chuff. And I'll tell you something else, scrubbers. He'll be living, working, and sleeping with you lot from now on in." Big Dave picks up the sheet and looks at the prisoner on its crumpled front. "Now that's a mistake, our Gaffer." Mabo puts his hands on his hips and sneers at the chunky scrubber. And the great David speaks. "And what, pray tell, is the error? O wise and wonderful king of the scrubbers." Big Dave clears his throat and smiles at the miserable old sadist, savoring the moment like the smell of vinegar on hot chips. "Well, for starters, how are you going to push around a big scary chap like that, with your teeny tiny bollocks? He'll just laugh at you, you noodle-armed little weasel." Mabo glares at Big Dave through rage-tinted eyes. "Don't you worry, Chunklebert, I'll get you sooner or later, then I'll be the one laughing." Bella and Whippet can barely contain their laughter and spray each other with giggle spit. Mabo glares angrily at them, with the kind of silent rage that would crush the heart of the average person, but that dried husk inside of Mabo's pigeon-like chest is way tougher than that. "Pa! Chuff the lot of you. I'm too good to be standing here talking to the likes of you lot anyway." Mabo storms off into his tiny office. Standing at a large metal conveyor belt, Sigmund and Tiny sort through trash on a slow-moving conveyor. Sigmund, the scrubber's worn-out and peculiar cyborg, picks up a large metal box with mysterious alien writing on it. "Holy calculators of Earth, look at this chuffer." Tiny, a well-built and gnarly-looking, no-nonsense, pit bull of a woman, stops what she is doing and dashes over to Sigmund. "Wow. What does it mean?" "Calculators are holy beings to us technoids, lampshade." The malfunctioning cyborg, Sigmund, laughs and jerks around like his circuits are jammed and holds a finger in the air to Tiny for patience. "Squeeze me a moment, Derek." Sigmund picks up a wooden mallet from the belt and hits himself twice on his metal head, then bursts into theatrical song. "Sweet little buttercup, please, little buttercup." The near-ancient device of inconvenience bangs himself a final time with the wooden mallet and shakes himself present. "Sorry about that, ma'am." Tiny pats Sigmund on the back and looks at him with heartfelt sympathy. "So, that's still happening then, mate?" Sigmund folds his arms and stares at Tiny. "As always, ma'am, you have a knack for spotting the subtle." "Yes, it's still happening, and still sucks balls like a McSucky-Suck master vacuum cleaner, in the latter stages of a ball-sucking contest, ma'am." Tiny chuckles at Sigmund's indignant retort and nudges him with her formidable hips. "Don't get sore with me, Tin Man, just because Dorothy left you for the lion." "Ha! Dorothy! I should write this stuff down." Sigmund shakes his head in pity and sighs. "Good one, ma'am, very droll." Tiny slaps Sigmund playfully on the back, making Sigmund stagger a few steps until he steadies himself on a wall with his hand. "What does the writing say, you malformed little sausage? How come you always think I know this stuff?" "It's because I'm a cyborg, isn't it?" Tiny tuts and rolls her eyes. "Sigmund, Stop being a knob. Okay, I might be able to read it, but you had no right to assume that I'd know how, just because I'm a technoid. That's stereotyping, ma'am. Sigmund folds his metal arms in a huff as the intercom speaker beeps, indicating a message from Mabo. Tiny stares at a ceiling-mounted camera and gestures with her arms aggressively out to her sides. Chuff me. What the scrote does he want now? The speaker screeches as Mabo moves too close to the microphone in his office. If only your hands could move as fast as your gobs, you would be done by now. Now, crack on. Or I'll melt you down and blast you into space. I already knew this would happen, putting the monster with the mechanoid. Tiny scoops a handful of unspeakable filth from the conveyor and throws it at the camera with a splat. Now you've already done it. Mabo hangs up the call with a beep. Sigmund chuckles at Tiny. Quick, our Siggy, hide it. He'll be down here in no time, the miserable old muffler. Sigmund picks up the metal box and dashes out of the door, while Tiny sighs with joy from finding a half-smoked cigar on the belt. She picks it up with a big smile on her face and gives it a blow. Ah. Nice one. Tiny sits on a pile of wooden boxes and lights the cigar, then takes a long drag under a no-smoking plaque. The prisoner known as Thumper looks out of the shuttle's window to the desert world penal colony, shrinking in the distance among the backdrop of space, then snorts in disdain and defiance at it. He is restrained to a chair and surrounded by a high-tech magnetic cage. Thumper smirks to himself and presses his face into the corner of the cage to look down the shuttle to the cockpit. Who's a guy got to kill to get a soda round here? 3 armed guards nervously approach the cage, with their guns drawn and pointed at Thumper with trembling hands. A soda? Yes, of course. 1 moment, please. Guard 1 reaches into a cooler box on a seat in front of Thumper's cage and pulls out a can of soda. Thumper growls impatiently at guards. Guard 1 takes a calming breath and opens the can. All right, I'm going as fast as I can. With a trembling hand, Guard 1 puts the can on the floor just outside of the cage. Thumper reaches through the bars and picks up the soda, then glares menacingly through them at the guards. Are you taking the piss? The guards look nervously at Thumper, with blank puzzled expressions on their faces. Huh? What do you mean? Hello? Where's the straw? I'm not an animal, you know. In a fumbling panic, the guards empty out a cooler box onto a nearby seat. Aha! Found one. There you go, Mr. Thumper. Ta very much. Thumper necks the can in one and burps at the guards, who gag and cough while Thumper stashes the metal straw in his sock. Thumper chuckles at the guards gagging and coughing in the aisle and crushes the can between his hands. Man, I'm as hungry as fudge. Thumper then proceeds to eat the can and viciously break wind. Call crikey, that's better. After gagging and retching on the unspeakable stench, the guard boss looks at the other guards and shakes his head. I don't get paid enough credits for this bollocks. You don't get enough? How do you think we chuffing feel? We've still got to settle our fines. The smug-looking guard boss brushes his lapels with his fingers. Players and games, chaps. Players and games. One of the guards shoves him and points a finger in his face. You're a twat, mate. An illuminated sign flashing the words, "Fasten your seatbelts," pings above the arguing guards. Thumper reaches through the bars and taps the guard boss on his arm. Better sit and get your rest, boys. A lot can happen between here and the scrubbers. Guard 1 tugs the cage to make sure it's locked. Thumper chuckles and pretends to rush the door, making Guard 1 fall backwards to the floor in a lily-livered heap. Thumper laughs at Guard 1 as he scrambles to his feet. With his ego dented like a cardboard crash hat, Guard 1 glances at Thumper and sits in the seat facing the cage, with a mardy face on him, like a bulldog licking vinegar off a cat's ass. Knobhead. Don't take it out on me, just because you're banged up and I'm not. The transport shuttle approaches the massive Star Destroyer and flashes its headlights at an illuminated window. A bright outline of a docking port door appears on the supermassive craft, just in front of the transport shuttle. You are clear for landing, Green Fox. The shuttle jolts forward and stalls, much to the comic delight of Thumper, laughing like an open drain in his cage. Where you get your license at? A box of cereal or something? Tiny and Sigmund quick walk down a flight of metal stairs to a pair of doors, one marked exit and one marked scrubbers. Bella walks in through the exit door, followed by Whippet and Big Dave. Tiny nods at Big Dave with a grin on her grubby face and winks at him. Oi, Savaloy, what you saying, big bird? Our Sigmund's found a right little nugget, Dave. You cheeky old chuffer. Bella and Whippet look excitedly at each other, then gaze at Sigmund. What have you got then? Oat good our Siggy? Sigmund sagely taps his nose and opens the door marked, Scrubbers. Walk this way, Whippet. In fact, walk this way, all of you. Sigmund moves like a mechanical puppet on strings and walks into the room, revealing a small but spotless break room. Bella turns to Big Dave and cups her hand to his ear. If I walk like that, call me a chuffing doctor. Big Dave bows and waves his arm to the doorway for Bella. Then after you. You chuffing doctor. Bella flicks Big Dave in the crotch as she walks past him. Oof. Big Dave doubles over and staggers into the break room, with Whippet, chuckling like a teenager in biology class, close behind him. Inside the break room, Whippet closes the door and turns to a large table, dominating the middle of the room. Sigmund reaches under the table. Bella, Big Dave and Whippet look confused at Tiny, standing with her arms folded with an excited look on her face. Big Dave nudges Whippet with his elbow to get his attention, and nods in the direction of Tiny. Hey up, this looks promising. Sigmund pulls the alien box out from under the table and places it on top. Scrubbers gasp and stare in wonder at the strange alien box. Big Dave, moved by childlike curiosity, excitedly leans over the table and points to the ominous alien writing, emblazoned over the top of the mysterious container. What's this say? Sigmund gasps and slaps Big Dave's hand away from the box. Don't touch. It might be dangerous. Meh. Dangerous, my sweet crinkled butt. It's only a box, you jumped up vacuum cleaner. Big Dave wipes a layer of dust off the writing and breathes on the box to clean a smudge. The box swells and contracts like a strange and giant heartbeat. Tiny tuts in annoyance and shoves Big Dave. You just can't leave things the fudge alone, you chuffing donut. A laser beam shoots out from the box and scans the break room and the scrubbers. Scan complete. Species. Almost human. Release Kraken protocol initiated. Have a nice day. An ominous beeping sound comes from the box, like a countdown to oblivion. Bella scowls and sarcastically applauds that chaotic toddler, trapped in a fleshy mountain of stupidity and sweat, known as Big Dave. Well done. Nice one, Bellend. Let's hear it for Mr. Clever Britches. Big Dave shrugs his shoulders as the beeps get closer together in pitch and frequency. Meh. Can't saw sawdust and all that. Scrubbers snort and take their attention from Big Dave to the beeping alien box on the table, as the beeping comes to a tense climatic stop. The suspense gets the better of them and the curious scrubbers lean closer as the lid slowly dissolves away, like melting ice on a pond. Bella looks inside the box and smiles at its contents. Oh, why hello there. Inside the box is a shiny little black blob of slime. The blob rises like a snake and looks at the scrubbers in turn around the table, as Whippet hides behind Big Dave. Grab it, Sigmund. Oh, yes, sacrifice the cyborg. Do you know how offensive that is? Bella glares at Sigmund in disbelief. Just do it, Siggy. But be gentle, we don't want to hurt it. The gelatinous alien blob turns to Bella and tilts its head at her, like an affectionate dog with its favorite human. Sigmund sighs and reluctantly reaches inside the box. The blob of slime squeaks and jumps onto the ceiling. Scrubbers stare at the blob on the ceiling for a moment, then turn as one to glare angrily at Big Dave, who holds his hands out in a token of appeasement. All right, now everyone just calm down. What's done is done, so there's no good to be found in pointing fingers now. Tiny tilts her head in puzzled anger at Big Dave. You chuffing prat. Now look what you've done, you hulking great knob. The scrubbers return their attention to the ceiling, but the alien blob has mysteriously disappeared. The gaggle of scrubbers stare angrily at Big Dave. Oh, fudge. Sigmund dashes to a drawer and pulls out some flashlights and lamps. We've got to find it. Grab a flashlight and get looking. Scrubbers grab the flashlights from Sigmund and shine them at the conduit-obscured ceiling space. Bella shines a light on the blob as it tucks behind some water pipes above her. It's okay, we won't hurt you. The break room door swings inward, causing the scrubbers to freeze in their positions like mischievous children, as Mabo walks into the break room and glares suspiciously at them. And what's going on here then? Thumper stalks into the room behind Mabo. He stares menacingly at Scrubbers and clears his throat. Mabo smirks and walks into the room a few steps. Right, you horrible lot, this is your new crewmate, Thumper. Thumper growls at Scrubbers and pounds his hand menacingly with his fist, while Scrubbers look anxiously at one another. Bella gulps and warmly extends her hand. Nice to meet you, I'm. Thumper points at her with a menacing snarl on his face. Shut it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Bella awkwardly retracts her hand. Big Dave stares at Thumper. Mabo looks at the Scrubbers' faces and chuckles. I'll leave you to settle him in. Mabo stares at Big Dave and smirks. Good luck, our Dave. Mabo snickers as he leaves the break room. As the door closes behind Mabo, Thumper points aggressively at Tiny. You, coffee, now. Big Dave sighs and picks up a dusty cricket bat, leaning against the wall. Like that is it, fatty? You'll need more than that chuffer, to sort the likes of me, you decrepit old knob. As quick as a space snake, Thumper lunges at Big Dave, while Sigmund cowardly scurries under the table. Big Dave dodges to the side and hits Thumper over the head with the bat, but the bat snaps in half over the inmate's shaven head. Thumper chuckles and snatches the bat off Big Dave and bites a chunk out of the wood with his metal teeth. Ha! Told you! Thumper sits in a chair and puts his feet on the table. Big Dave gingerly puts the remnants of the bat on the floor and steps back. Yes. I may have acted a little hastily, was it coffee you wanted? Thumper snorts at Big Dave then glares at the Scrubbers. That's right, Scrubbers. There's a new sheriff in town. On the ceiling above Thumper, the blob of slime slides across the conduits and pipes. Slime blob coagulates above Thumper. Whippet spots the blob and points at it. Look! There it is, our Dave. Scrubbers look at the blob forming on the ceiling above Thumper. Thumper tilts his head at Scrubbers and looks up as the blob drops from the ceiling and lands on his face. Arg! Get it off me! Whippet takes a pull of his vape as he watches Thumper try in vain to pull the blob off his face. Blur! Help, help! Get it off me! Whippet shakes his head and snickers. You're having a bubble, mate. This is the best thing I've watched in ages. Slime tendrils snake their way into his eyes, nose, mouth and ears as it disappears inside him. Thumper grabs his head with both hands and screams before making a raspy gasping noise, then falls out of his chair on the floor behind the table with a thud. In a blind panic, Sigmund flails his arms and legs around like a tap-dancing spider. Help, help, don't let him get me. Sigmund scurries out from under the table in horror and puts his hands up in surrender. Don't hurt me. We surrender. Tiny looks at Sigmund with disgust and kisses her teeth. You've never blown your courage circuits again? Fudging brave heart. Scrubbers slowly peer over the table, with all the courage of a squirrel with a caffeine addiction, when suddenly, Thumper pops up from the floor and twirls on the spot like a ballerina, causing the Scrubbers to curl up into cowardly heaps on the floor in surprise. Sweet Carolina, that's better. Oh, hello you lot. Bella cautiously inches closer to the twirling inmate. Thumper? Thumper smiles at Bella and winks. If you like, dear. Thumper stretches and minces across the floor to a chair, then sits down with one leg crossed over the other and smiles warmly at Big Dave. Aren't you a dear? Thank you for getting me out of that situation, you great big lovely boy you. Not a problem our kid. Nice to be appreciated in this chuffer. Tiny pushes past Bella and Big Dave and grabs Thumper by his arm to encourage him to stand. Oi, that's my seat, new lad. So, come on, scoot your sweet buns over. Thumper stands up and flattens a hand to his chest, as though clutching an invisible string of pearls at his neck. Oh, I'm terribly sorry, madam? I had no idea. Big Dave puts an arm around Thumper and guides him to the drink-making area. First things first, new lad. Kettle's over there and biscuits are in the cupboard. But I'm. Don't you people know who I am? Tiny narrows her beady eyes and looks Thumper up and down. Let me guess? Go on? You're not just any old gelatinous alien blob? No, you're someone important, somebody special. Thumper shuffles uneasily on the spot. Tiny slaps the table in triumph and holds a finger in the air. Aha! Royalty! A princess I'd wager. That's right. How did you know that? Tiny takes a long pull on her ridiculously oversized pipe and points the smoking mouthpiece at him, like a wizard with attitude. And you've taken over the body of the penal replacement for Bobo by fusing yourself to his nervous system? Whippet nudges Big Dave and giggles like a pothead in a tickle fight. I wouldn't mind doing some penal fusing myself. If you know what I mean. Tiny side-eyes Whippet, then locks eyes with Thumper. Now see here, Thumper. You may be a formless alien blob, trapped inside the body of a dangerous convict, in a room full of scrubbers and twats. But that's no excuse to miss a chuffing mash. Tiny necks the remnants of a drink and passes the empty cup to Thumper, with a big cheeky smile on her beaming rosy face. I'll have tea with milk. Recognizing defeat, Thumper sighs and flicks the switch on the kettle. You take sugar? No thanks, new lad. I'm sweet enough.